So hello and welcome to Uncle's Data podcast. And this time on our podcast, we have a guest from Lithuanian e-commerce company, Barbora. And it's Andrius Didžiulis, with whom we're going to talk about, their data team structures, ways of working, and all of the, basically everything, data team related. But before, we continue to ways of working, so maybe Andrius, you could give your introduction about yourself.
Hello, everyone. As I was introduced, I'm Andrius, head of data from Barbora. Already 5 years in Barbora. It's, I believe, it's the longest time I'm working somewhere in my career, and that's in a particular place. So, it's been a long ride and really exciting. Talking maybe about myself. I'm a really avid traveler. Maybe it's close to 50 countries now. I've visited. I still hope. My dream is to visit every continent, at least one country in every continent. What else? Sports. Basketball was my main activity, main sport for majority of my life. But recently, a few years ago, we decided to quit that. Just too painful to continue. It's just a too brutal sport for me. And now I'm mostly into jogging, Pilates. It's really good when you're sitting all day and then after the day just go to work with your back, do various stretchings. So it's really a great activity that I just discovered. And also my latest hobby is dancing, salsa, bachata. I should my girlfriend should take a credit for that, I guess. But I really enjoy that. Already been to a few camps, also attended a few socials. It's like social is a so-called gathering where you dance with people there. It's I try to mix my find new activities, things to do, and somehow get away from computer and all that.
So basically go off the grid, right, for some time.
That's right. That's a good saying.
Okay, okay, continue. Sorry.
Yes, for a long time I would say my main hobby was just sit after the work hours and just continue my work, improve, learn something new. But probably I'm in this stage of my life where I just want to start enjoying life, I guess, and just it's really really great to be in such I guess such stage of my life, and still healthy, happy, and all that.
Okay. Any plans to visit Antarctica? Because technically it's a continent but doesn't have a country.
No? It's 8,000 euros. You can go to. I've been to it like this last winter. I went to the place where all the expeditions start to Antarctica. It's in Chile. I explored a lot that opportunity. It's pretty expensive, but doable. Maybe before that I need to visit Africa. I need to visit Australia and that.
Warmer countries, right?
Yeah, warmer countries, and then I could go there.
Okay. So before, like you mentioned, you're now at Barbora for almost 5 years, right? So how did you end up there, right? Because if I remember correctly, right, you started in economics, started in a bit different area, then you kind of see, switch, right, where you switch to data scientist, right? So how did that happen?
It started in, I guess, in the first course of my studies in economics, when I realized that I don't like economics. I want to work with IT, with data, more like big data, like some kind of technologies that you could programmatically like basically develop program, not like study microeconomics, all that. Statistics was good. Like I really enjoy statistics, although I wasn't really successful there. But I enjoyed it. It was something new. But at that time, I did not realize. I thought I want to be in IT. So I went to Students' Union, done a lot of projects there with IT, not IT, partied a lot. Actually, basically, I wasted my bachelor's degree. Finished that, then decided to go to work as an IT project manager to learn more about IT. It was really like tough work. Learned a lot about various aspects of IT projects, which I actually truly now I appreciate that. When I'm like head of data, I need to like manage data projects and just overall work with IT, like all that. And yeah, but eventually I decided that okay, I need to have some kind of academic knowledge about what I'm doing here. So yeah, I then went to the US to study data science there. Really good in university, a lot of work, like 6-7 days, 10, 12 hours per day of studies, various academic work. And after that, yeah, just, it kind of naturally went from IT to data. My capstone project, so the last project in my studies was to make some like a kind of a natural language processing algorithm that understands the clinical data and kind of assembles it in a proper data model. So yeah, it was like my first big project in that area, in machine learning, in AI. And from there, I just started. I came back to Lithuania. I did not like American life. And yeah, from there it started. I basically then it was a few companies. There were a few companies before I came to Barbora.
Okay, so I guess during those 5 years, right, you saw a lot of different things and a lot of different changes, in regards to the data teams, and how the company evolved. Because in general, I think the company itself is like 9 or 10 years old, right, somewhere there. It's
yeah,
like half of the time you're there.
Yes, I like we'll soon be 10 years old. I think next year, if I'm right. I hope I'm right. But yes, I came at the stage where the company was still, let's say, young, startup. Yeah, startup. Now, like during COVID, we became a I would say really level mid-sized company with more than a few thousand employees. And yeah, now after COVID, we had to rethink, also downsize a bit. But yeah, it also was a kind of, I always say 3 stages that I faced. So one is that early one, then that great times and COVID, and then now we are like trying to be a sustainable business, which can, which in commerce is really hard to do. It's really a challenging business and really hard to be profitable.
Mm-hmm. So did you uncover, some best practices? Let's say, how to form a team, like a data team, right? Is there a magic formula on your end?
Well, my main recipe, well, that may sound like too easy, but my main recipe is to just to be honest with yourself and with the people around you. Be open and also tell everyone about your plans and what you want to do. Just communicate. All the I think it's universal for all teams. You just need to. Once we decided we want to have data team, we needed to understand where we should start first from. Then once the team when the team grew, we got like some people. We needed to prove that those people are doing the job. Like we needed to understand that we are not like too big or too small. So it's always like, talking to people around you, talking to your colleagues, talking to your managers, and just, trying to capture their focus, maybe their let's say opinion about you, about your team, their questions, try to answer their question, and just kind of flow, proving you that your team is what what brings the value, like proving that the team brings the value to the company. And yeah, and at the same time, you also have to be really open and honest with your teammates, with people that you're working with in the team. About if they're if they want to, if they see that they want to work with some like particular technologies or products, you have to put some energy into that they would take this. Or like if they want to be they want to build a like recommendation engine, then your goal as a team manager to make that happen. So, and at the same time, they feel that they don't have enough work, you need to find that work, and simply if they have too much work, we have to take some work off their shoulders. So it's just dealing with everyday questions. It's no big secret, no like one universal recipe. Just trying to behave with everyone in the same way you hope they will behave with you. So it's like nothing magical.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Like, like I like the thing, when you ask someone, from the data in general, like some question, usually the answer, is always like, it depends, So like in your case, right? It also depends, on this, on that, on this, so, okay. So one of the things, what's always interesting, to me, is how other companies, right, they're creating their own hiring structure, right? Because like one of the ideas, why I started doing this kind of like this season in general, part of it was in Lithuanian, right? Is like to get the listeners, a basic understanding of what they could expect, from the interview, what are the, the steps and phases, right? And what kind of like team expects, like soft skills or like even hard skills, to have. So what about Barbora, right? How does the interview process look like?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we usually have 2-3 stages in that process. First of all, it's like kind of general, let's say, filtering, like general screening. Our recruiter talks to the candidates, evaluates their let's say competence, and then chooses a number of them to proceed with the second stage, which is interview with me or with a team lead. So like, yeah, we need to talk about the structure of our teams. So yeah, it's like our data team is basically made of 2 teams, is data science and data engineering team. I'm also together with being a head of data, I'm also currently a lead data engineer. And also there's my colleague Thomas working as a head of as a lead data scientist. So yeah, in the second stage, we like the lead of the team talks to the candidate, each candidate that is selected for the second stage. And then the third stage, usually it's like kind of everyone that talks with the lead also gets to the third stage, which is homework, which is like practical like task to to test your knowledge, your professional knowledge, your technical knowledge. And that could be really diverse. Like that could be really like we have different tasks for different let's say project. Like usually we aim at the particular project that candidate, that position will take over, that data scientist or data engineer will take over, and the task is usually directly related to that. So if you need to build a team wants you to work with recommendation systems, then usually you'll get something to do with the recommendation system in your own work.
Okay, so basically you're tailoring the task, to the position, so the candidate could actually, understand what he can, wait when he starts,
Yes.
working there. Okay, cool. That makes sense. Like the usual question is like, any particular, soft skills you're looking at in the candidates, right? What actually, from the soft skill set, right, matters, for you, for the company, for the team.
Mm-hmm. What I really value is that self-starting mindset. Like once you get to the team, you like the initial stage of like getting used to getting all the tools, accesses, all that. We strive that to be as fast as possible. And we had some cases where when people newcomers start working on their main project next week, like 1 week after they join the team, and they have full responsibility and freedom in like deciding many aspects of that product. Yeah, of course, like there's like kind of business requirements, like expectation, what we want, what Barbora wants from that product. But when coming to deciding like technical things, like technical like path of how you will achieve those goals, it's really full responsibility with the support from colleagues. And it's we have those quarterly goals that are set also soon after you join the team. And then you have like I just want to be I don't want to intrude, like just want to let it go. Constantly we are monitoring through, like we can talk about that later, through the process, agile process, to see where you stand. But in the end, like autonomy, self-starting skills, initiative is what I really, the team and the company values. And I feel that it's like it creates the best environment for a developer, for a colleague to excel and achieve the goal.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you're getting full freedom, and also choosing, approaches, there, which actually, makes sense for people, because they can see themselves grow and apply, different things, and if there is need, to consult with their colleagues. Cool. Okay. That makes sense. And then, let's say, the process, like finishes successfully, right? The person is hired. So how does the first weeks, right, or like couple of months, looks like when the person starts, right? Basically the onboarding process.
Mm-hmm. So my goal is to make it as quick as possible, so that the end goal is that the person feels like he or she is here for like a year already. And I heard a lot of feedback that we are succeeding in that. Just like all the a lot of automated stuff, a lot of processes described. We just person comes, joins the team, and you just know like 10, 11, 12 steps you need to complete, and the person has everything that he or she needs. So once we're done with those basics, then we talk about the project that we talk during the interview process. Or a few projects, if it actually really depends on the competence as well. Like with juniors, we will start maybe with a few projects, smaller ones, and then we'll go to the bigger one. With a mid or senior, it could be that straight into just maybe a small project to understand our data structures, our data, and then straight into a bigger project. And that could be, I guess, the end of first project could be the end of the onboarding, I guess. As every project also, like we have overall as a team, we have a lot of autonomy. in our IT infrastructure, let's say that. So people, what is really important to know that our colleagues know a lot of things about, DevOps, like data ops, let's say. Data engineer could know like, or may need to do some work with machine learning engineering, or data scientists could do some data engineering work. It's not like a prime, like it would be like 10, maybe 15% of the time, but like the essence of the team is like it kind of naturally evolved, that the team, our team, was like, we from like the Barbora, like I could say the secret that Barbora and our kind of experience with cloud started with data team. So firstly, we as data team were the first starters of the cloud technologies, and then the remaining part of IT joined us and continued working with the cloud. So as a result, we needed to do a lot of things by ourselves because nobody else could help us. So yeah, that's why we like some like knowledge kind of we developed, we got some knowledge about the cloud. And yeah, now we have DevOps, we have people who can help us, but still, we expect that Terraform, like people, like data engineers, know what Terraform is and can do some stuff with it. So that, I think, something that distinguishes us from other teams, but at the same time, it really helps us be fast. We don't need to wait for other teams, and we just do. People really enjoy that. You can do the whole project sometimes, or like usually you can do the whole project from the beginning to the very end by your own, like only by like with your colleagues in the team. No need for knowledge out from outside.
Yeah, that makes sense, and it also falls, what you mentioned, the autonomy part, right? Because the team in general, everyone has values, and as a team as a whole, then you can do things on your own. Okay. Since you mentioned cloud, and these things, so I guess for me it's where my most of the experience comes from the engineering, technical things, right? So can you elaborate more, on what tools are you using, the day to day?
Yeah, so our main cloud is AWS. It was like, it started, why we chose AWS, just during my capstone project in the master's, I worked with AWS. And yeah, as I said, I actually took this choice, this decision to go with AWS, and I'm really happy that the manager supported that. And yeah, from there we got and started to work with AWS, and we're still happy with that decision. Then what else? Python is the main language, programming language. Yeah, SQL. It's we are now actually kind of shifting in between. With that, we use this Athena, like, which is Presto SQL. Now we got wiser, and we are shifting to Redshift. So Redshift SQL will soon be the main data SQL language. Then what else? Yeah, Terraform, as I said. Yeah, Git, all that. Also, DBT is the thing that we wanted to like for it to kind of deploy for our analysts. So it's like one of the projects that we want to work on with.
Kind of do like similar stack, I guess, in different places it's exactly similar, just the database engine is basically different. So yeah, interesting choice on the Redshift. So I'm gonna probably follow up with you after some time to see how it's going, because it's very interesting to me hear that, because like in my previous companies we had experience with Redshift, and basically migrated to different vendor. So gonna be interested to see what's your journey using like moving from one to another, and how it's gonna happen. But I guess we can talk about that in different podcast episode if that's and see how it went. So okay, yeah, so we talked about technical part, right? And you mentioned about the process and agile way, right? So let's get back to that question, like the topic you mentioned, right? So how's the work in general organized in the teams?
So yeah, we say and we believe in agile, and we usually follow Scrum practices. So yeah, all that sprint planning, retrospectives, all this. It's not like easy to do that in a data team. Usually our sprint consists of many projects and many tasks that are not really related. So we don't have this sprint goal, for example. Only now, maybe when we have some time, to work with, that Redshift project, let's say, we really kind of try to be more work closer. But it's still, with data team, it's a challenge. But yeah, we say that we have Scrum, we have stand-ups, we see value in that. We constantly try to, to kind of pivot and get something new. Maybe look from the other angle. Maybe sometimes we mix with Kanban. But it's overall, let's say, 60-70% of the time it's Scrum, and and we see value in that, and we kind of try to make it our way. And also, one thing that's important, we constantly need to review what we do, whether that works or not. So with the help of team members, external people, experts, we kind of evaluate what we have here and whether those practices are really working. That's really important. Otherwise, it was we already had a few years ago. We derived from that agile Scrum principles, those Scrum principles, and it was not good. You just you have it, but you don't have it. You just it's a kind of fake Scrum. So yeah, it's really important to do those things that work, but not those things that just kind of history or practice or you kind of habit that you have, but that does not work at all.
Okay. I'm going to circle back a bit, to question, since you mentioned your teams, a couple of teams, right? Engineering, right? And data science. And you mentioned that you're working, kind of in a project base, right? So I assume, on the project, you have a cross-functional team, right? Which is working on, certain things,
Yes.
How does that work, on your end, how to prioritize, one project over the other, right? Because again, assumption that multiple people, are spread on across different projects, right? So they have different priorities, different parts to play, different tasks to complete, right? So how? Let's start with the sizes of teams at this point, right? And then basically how you decide the prioritizations of those tasks or projects.
Yeah, we let's say the teams are cross-functional, and usually to complete the project, although some projects, a lot of projects, we still have a lot of projects where it is enough to have data team, as there are many things to do. But recently, in a few last years, we understood the value of cross-functional teams and cross-functional work. Where you start with the business idea, with the business requirements, and you go for that cycle and come with an actual product, let's say product recommendations. So we have that, but it's not kind of in a way that you can imagine, that you have constant meetings where those cross-functional people are agreeing, talking together, deciding what to do next. It's it happens, but usually the way we do it's we together with either cross-functional team managers, we decide this thing also, we evaluate the scope, we understand exact patterns, how it works, and then we split the work, and then we do that in our teams. So IT does it. It's in let's say front-end team does it in its own team. Its part. It does its part in its own team. We do our part in our own team, and then we come back, in a few weeks to align to see whether that works or not, and then we go back, continue the work. So it's let's say mix of that it's not like fully cross-functional teamwork as I understand, as I believe that you should have. Like we thought, and we're still thinking about, future could be like that cross-functional team where, every team assigns like a kind of there are representatives from a team which, come to this cross-functional team to work on a particular project. But for now, let's say it's not it's not like that. We are like we see it in this current model where like teams are more like represent themselves in that particular project. We see this advantages here in that sense that it helps to shift like a kind of switch between people. If someone is not available at that moment, then we go to other person in that team to work on that project. Also, we still like the rotation sometimes is really cruel, and some people are leaving, some people are joining, so that's why we need to adapt to that. And it's kind of, I guess, one of the main reasons why we are employing this, it's just because of the resources. So like it's really like people are changing. IT market is really demanding and competitive, so that's why we need to change, and we want to keep that knowledge inside the team, not like put it in somewhere in a kind of cross-functional team. So that's why it's like that. And we usually just discuss that project internally, what we need to do, and then work on that. Maybe talking about the team, talking about the sizes of teams, let's say engineering and data science. So we try to keep that like 1 to 2, like 1 data scientist to 2 data engineers.
Not the other way around. Not the other way around.
So we 1 data scientist to 2, 3 data engineers. I guess it's like that. It's usually, why is it so? Like 20% of the work usually is data science, 80% of the work is data engineering. Like we also do a lot of work with machine learning engineering, and I believe like we also want to have such roles. So data scientists. The way we understand it, the way like the literature understands it, and the people overall that practice it, is that they just need to research the work, research the products, build an algorithm, a model, and a general idea how the problem should be solved, and then everything is just left for the actual implementation is left to machine learning engineer, and the whole infrastructure is left to data engineer. So this is the way how we understand, and that's why data scientists. We have only a few data scientists in the team. Mostly we have data engineers.
Yeah. Okay. So now it all makes sense, right? Because usually, at least in Lithuania, right, data scientist, covers like the 80% of the work, right? Analytics part and whatnot. And in your case, it's more like actual data science, right? Building models, verifying their correctness and whatnot. Yes. Okay. Then it falls into place and it actually makes sense. So kudos on having that, because everywhere else is like everyone is a data scientist, doing data engineering, analytics, and then basically
it's really hard to persuade, like to prove that to business. With data engineers, we had some hard times, and now with machine learning engineers, it's honestly like a really hard task to explain what that position does, like how it contributes to business, to the final product, and why data scientist or data engineer could not do that. It's just like when I was in the US, and I worked a bit as a machine learning engineer, like participated in some projects. It was really like easy to. It was kind of like implicitly you understood that it's like everybody understood what the role is, and how it works. And seeing like a machine learning engineer position in job ads, it was a kind of, and still is like a natural, like practice, everyone understands. But here we have this, let's say it's not like a drawback, I would say it's a kind of a feature of a country, of a market that's still young. And data science in Lithuania is still young. I would say like 10 years old at most, maybe a bit more, but like we're, like 15 years, I guess. So where you have understanding about the roles, about the whole like flow of data product cycle, how it should be developed, and good practices. So yeah, I guess it's a great times to be. It's good time to be in this market and participate and try to kind of shape it and shape the minds of business and form the understanding about how data teams are working.
Yeah, that actually makes sense, right? Because people, like from the business side, right? If you're opening a position, right, it actually adds more costs, right? And you have to show what value it will bring, how to outweigh it and whatnot. And I guess the like last couple of years, like I think 3 when the corona started, right? Basically, everyone understood the power of data, and basically now it's a bit easier to do it like than compared like I don't know 6-7 years ago. So that's a bit easier on this side. Okay, sounds like you're running quite nice, setup at this point. So for me, another interesting thing is, to understand, so how do you kind of ensure, working standards or like, best practices across different projects, right? Across different, teammates, in general, how to avoid a big dump, working with a lot of data from different sources.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Yesterday I spent some time thinking about that. It just we try to what I noted. Yeah, I somewhere put somewhere, but I'm not sure if I have it. Yeah, just to remember all my notes, all my ideas. But yeah, first of all, refinements. It's the critical thing. I never, like before Barbora, I never thought that just repeating and telling the same thing again and again can make such a big difference. You have first view when you approach the problem, then you have the second view and opinion when you start digging into that, and the third idea and like third set of ideas when you refine it. And then once you start developing like the fourth one, it's like constant like come back to the problem, to the product, and refining it. It's what it helps to understand the general, like how you can approach it. And then on the way, you also agree on practices, on whether you need documentation or not. Sometimes it's too small, you don't need a documentation, but usually it's like, when you're thinking a lot about it, you need some kind of document, like some kind of manual, which we will, others will use, or even business sometimes reads and then understands even more. Also you need to agree with everyone about the structure of the project and the parts. That it's not only code; it's also unit tests. It's also Terraform that you need to think about, and the infrastructure, where you place your configs. It's not like in a file or some kind of place nobody knows about, or like some new place, like you invent a new place where to store the configs. No, it's like you always have to agree together with everyone about what you will do, where you place each part of your project and each part of the code. And then everyone should follow that. Yes, eventually it builds a kind of flow that is really like looks kind of maybe time consuming, or like it feels like a kind of a burden to many. But it's a habit. I believe that once you develop this habit, you're like you become really tidy, and everyone understands. And it's just like you can, without explaining much, you can say that that the guy leaves the team, and the new one joins, or the someone colleague takes over the project, and he knows or she knows that where to go or to look at project, or already may know and already may see understand where everything is put and left, so he can start they can start immediately working on that project. So yeah, like as a head of data, I need to ensure that we don't have any kind of every piece of our idea, every piece of our product should have its own place, and you cannot leave anything somewhere in the files, Excel files, Jupyter notebooks, or just Python file. So yeah, it's also a challenge.
Okay. I'm thinking then, in general, right? Barbora belongs, to big group, and like, so for me, one of the questions in general, right, is about options, for like vertical or horizontal, growth opportunities, for data team members, right? So what's the, what's possible, in Barbora, in general, like growth opportunities,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are a part of the group. I think, the biggest retail group in the Baltics. So if when we're talking about vertical growth, it's like limitless, especially if you are like willing to to leave the technical world and go to managerial positions. And it's well accepted. We have examples in a company where developers, like people from different let's say professions, joined managers and all that. So we encourage that in a team itself. We have like 2-3 levels of like the 2-3 levels, like let's say from junior to mid to senior and then to lead. And I guess head or even more. It's not like we are saying never. Like myself, I also see a few options for myself in the future in a group. So yeah, we have these vertical steps. And talking about horizontal, it's like we can like say that in 2 ways. Like in that professional development, so we encourage that learning new technologies, expanding your knowledge not only about the cloud that we have, AWS, but also the cloud that you may face in the future. So we are currently actually working and have opportunities and actual credits to work with Google Cloud, also Azure Cloud. So like for data engineers, there are opportunities. For data scientists, also, like we don't use deep learning currently. It's like we feel that it's a big gap for us, and we want to learn, and people are actually learning, taking courses to learn that, and I'm sure that we'll soon use that knowledge to developing our products. So learning, I guess, understanding your craft is one way, and the other way is the learning about company and business. I would say it's also kind of horizontal. We have this initiative where people are encouraged constantly to go to work in the front, let's say front office. So it's pickers and couriers. We have this program where you can spend a day in a picking center, collect items, look at work, go together with the courier, deliver products, and in this way see how what are the if you feel there are some problems, then you can face that and come back and find a solution. So it's also some kind of learning, some kind of horizontal, I guess, growth. And
okay.
Overall, like many resources, like e-learning resources to help you with different problems, issues, courses, and all that. So
okay,
you just need your time. We also have a 1 day per week where you can spend time the whole day for your own initiative. So let's say recently I spent the whole day just to build a service that streams kind of shows our statistical dashboards on TVs, like on TV sets in the office. Others are working with with Google Cloud, trying learning courses. So it's like, yeah, you get to spend the whole day just only for that, and it works also. It delivers some value.
Yeah, I guess what you mentioned and what I kind of admire, that actually teaming up, like the delivery part, right? Actually, going through the process and dog fooding, a whole end to end, right? It gives a better perspective, and you understand your product better, all the bits and pieces, see what doesn't make sense to you in general, right? So actually then you can contribute, and like making what's for everyone else is like not obvious, like like they're used to it, right? You get a different perspective each time, so that's really cool.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I guess from that side, from my end, it's basically no more questions apart the one and last one, so what would be the book you would recommend to the listeners?
Yeah, I really admire the series of clean, let's say, clean code, clean coder, and clean infrastructure by Uncle Bob. We all know him, Robert C. Martin. Yes, I don't even know his full name. It's Uncle Bob.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on the name.
So yeah, I constantly, from time to time, I used to look at the clean code. Now I'm looking more at clean coder. There are a lot of good practices, just for me as a manager actually. But yeah, it gives you all the main things about the work, like following standard conventions, finding the root cause of your problem, and just leaving everything as it is, as you got before, coming to the code. So like a lot of great ideas there, and if you and also constantly give this recommendation, and let's say this to our newcomers, that when we have this 1 month usually before coming to the work, to our team. So just if you want to get ready for the team, please read at least one book, let's say Clean Code, and you'll be ready. So yeah, it's like it's a classic, and a good read, and a good way to remember later what is it all about.
Yeah, that actually makes sense, right? And if you're setting the standard, or like the cornerstones of the team, and making those like practices like one of the cornerstones, it actually helps everyone blend in faster, understand things more efficiently and whatnot. Cool. So thank you for recommendation. Thank you for spending your time with me, talking about the data teams and how it's going on for you. And was very nice talking to you. And for the listeners, tune in to next episodes of Uncle Data, and see you there.